welcome to Big Muddy Mayhem, the podcast where we talk about true crime and bad behavior in the Midwest.
Each week, we'll bring you true stories from the heartland that might break your heart, but we hope to entertain you along the way.
I'm Janet O'Brien.
I'm Tracey Laricha.
Hello!
Hello, Janet.
How are we on episode 60?
I was going to say, my gosh, here we are. 5s and 0s always feel like such a big deal, don't they?
Oh, yeah.
And 60.
60.
And knowing that like 50 was our live.
I know.
Which feels like
yesterday?
8 years ago.
or yesterday.
And also yesterday. Although, gosh, like these days, like yesterday feels like 8 years ago,
does.
right?
It's so bad. I know.
But here we are.
Here we are. We're here to entertain you with stories.
That's right.
So.
Good week so far?
Good week.
Everything good
Great
with you?
week.
Uh-huh.
I will mention later why it was such
say,
a great week. But I can't mention it right now.
More to come. That way you have to, like, all right, tune in, Muddy Buddies,
Exactly.
next week for Janet's big reveal. Ooh la la. But for tonight, still keep listening because we do have things for you.
We do.
We've got a continuation of a fascinating story.
It is super fascinating. I get to start with that.
I have had to sit on my hands and keep myself from Googling this all week just because I want to hear it fresh.
Yeah, and the problem is that now this is going to be a third part.
That's okay.
Because there's so much information. I'm like, I can't leave anything out. And then I have to, like, give history lessons.
Absolutely.
During the way. Because, you know, you've heard these things probably in school, but do you really actually remember what some of them are?
Right. And you've given a fair amount of detail also.
Yeah.
So. We're ready to go.
Okay.
We're going to keep on keeping on. Take out your notes.
Yes.
And
okay.
I'm just going to kick back and let you tell me a story.
Fine. I am going to go into part 2 of Warren G. Harding. Mm-hmm. One of our presidents of the United States. He's not president yet, and he's still not going to be president at the end of part 2, but that's okay. So,
but he had just met somebody that had been a huge influence, correct?
Exactly. He met his wife, and she was definitely a part of, being supportive and helping him with his newspaper while he went out and tried to, do all little political things.
And he meets this guy.
Yes. So in 1903, Warren G. Harding announces that he would like to run for governor in the state of Ohio. Because everything's in Ohio. Mm-hmm. He loves the state of Ohio.
He really does.
Yes.
He's a hometown boy.
Absolutely. The leading candidate, Charles W.F. Dick.
What up, Chuck Dick? I bet Chuck Dick is what they called him when they used to, like, push him into the lockers.
Or, there's no T here, but it is W.F. Dick.
Oh my gosh.
Charles W.F. Dick. Anyway, he had withdrawn from the campaign to run for governor, and he really wanted, Harding really wanted to run. The public looked more dimly at this time of trading of political favors, and this is basically the beginning of the progressive era. I mean, it already started building up in the 1890s, and it went through the 20s. Honestly, it never really stopped, but...
but they're like, hey, maybe this shit shouldn't be sold.
Right. The progressive era, in case anybody doesn't know what that is.
Wait a couple of months, and no one will.
Multiple social and political reform efforts were taking place. Progressives wanted to address issues associated with industrialization, which also really affected urbanization, immigration, and political corruption.
What could possibly go wrong?
What? An industrial company that wants to use and exploit their workers? What's that about? I don't know anything about that. Reformers were concerned about the slums that these people lived in, their poverty, and their labor conditions.
Hey, current references only, please. We laugh so we don't cry.
Exactly. Multiple movements were overlapping each other, including protecting the natural environment and improve urban living and working conditions. That's just crazy talk, right?
Current references only, please.
They targeted corrupt and undemocratic political machines and their bosses. So the progressives they didn't like stuff like that. But also, the progressives were really into prohibition.
Oh, okay.
And that they wanted to establish prohibition because they felt like that was pretty much ruining anybody who was underclass. Progressive leaders were typically the middle class. The progressive era was the prelude to the New Deal.
Oh, okay.
In the 1920s, politics started to become unfriendly to unions and liberal crusaders against businesses, which ended, basically, it supposedly ended the progressive movement, but really historians believe it just changed into other things.
Right.
I mean, it's never not happened.
Right.
We always have a progressive movement. But between the 1890s and the 1920s, it was big. It was a big deal. And progressives and Republicans were kind of the same.
Right.
But there was also a split happening at the same time. Harding, he ran as lieutenant governor with Myron T. Herrick, and they both won by large margins. Now, I want to explain that at this time, when you were voted for Senate, or for the Senate specifically, you weren't voted by people. You went to the Republican convention or whatever convention, Democratic convention,
delegates.
And the delegates would basically hire you on.
Gotcha.
So once nominated, Herrick, the person he's running with, ended up turning other Republicans against him because Herrick ended up alienating farmers by opposing the establishment of an agricultural college. So, he's probably like, oh yeah, I'm going to do all this progressive. No, I'm not. In 1903, after being inaugurated, Harding was known for this. Harding had little to do, and he did it very well.
Oh gosh, what is it? I can't remember the. Oh, it was I think it was Mad Men. You're a house cat. You're very important, and you have little to do. Is what, I think, is it Betty's father? I could be wrong. Get at us in the show notes. Let me know if I've got that the wrong, story. But, you're a house cat. You are very important, and you have little to do.
Right.
So Harding is basically that, but also president.
Well, he's not president yet.
Or not yet.
No, he's run. He's basically got a position, but it's not a very high position.
Okay.
He presides over the Senate, but he doesn't really do a lot. Herrick ran. Herrick wanted to run as governor.
Okay.
And so did Harding, but because Herrick and Harding had run together for this thing in the Senate, he was like, okay, I'll step aside. If you want it, it's yours. So Harding stepped aside, but Herrick ended up being defeated by a Democrat by the name of Andrew Harris.
Okay.
Remember, at this time still, Harding...
Yeah, parties are different.
Right. Harding was still running, still had his newspaper, The Star, and he was endorsing a senator by the name of Joseph B. Foraker. To run for president on January 6, 1908. And January 22nd of 1908, Harding changed his endorsement and decided he would endorse William Howard Taft instead. The change to Taft was not because he saw the light, but because he felt the heat.
I see it.
So changing the Tafts saved Hardin's career at this point, as he was popular and he had done favors for more progressive groups that controlled the Republican Party. The Republican Party started to split, however. And, what's that about?
Right. Current references only, Janet.
Republican Party started to split, divided between progressives and conservative wings, but basically they could not beat any of the United Democrats because all the Democrats were very, very united. Like, they were not split.
Okay.
1912, Taft and Roosevelt were the rivals for the Republican nomination. In 1912, the Republican convention was again very divided. Harding gave a speech at the convention for Taft, but it was not well received by them. The party was split between Taft and Roosevelt, and so therefore Woodrow Wilson ended up becoming elected as the U.S. president.
All right.
1914. The 17th Amendment of the United States Constitution had been ratified, letting people vote for senators.
Oh,
so
okay.
now
it's not just delegates; it moves to the vote of the people.
Exactly. Harding was encouraged to enter the senator race because of this.
Okay.
Harding won the primary against Foraker by 12,000 votes. And then he ended up winning the election by over 100,000 votes. That's big for what time period.
That's a fair amount. Yeah, I was going to say that's a significant margin.
Right. So he ends up winning, his senator position, but he's only a junior senator. He basically receives unimportant committee assignments. He was a safe conservative Republican to vote and was widely liked. Mm-hmm. He typically looked closely at all the in-depth issues, and the two main issues at this time was women's suffrage and prohibition. Women's suffrage, he said he would only support it once the state of Ohio supported it.
Because he's an Ohio person, so he's like, all right, well, look,
I'll go for it. If my home state will do it, I'll go for it. He was originally against prohibition because he drank, but since he ended up voting for the 18th Amendment, and what everybody probably already knows, that is prohibition. Harding respected both Republicans and progressives. He was asked to speak at the 1916 Republican Convention to give a keynote address. He urged his delegates to stand united, just like the Democrats did. 1916 election, Wilson beat out Hughes, the Republican. Harding voted for the resolution of war in April of 1917. That basically pulled the U.S. into the Great War, World War II. Now, at this time, what I love it reading all these history things. It's like, pulled into World War I. I'm like, it wasn't World War I at the time.
Right.
There was no Second World War. It was the Great War.
Right.
Period.
Completely. We thought that this was
it. It's a big deal war. Harding argued for Wilson having dictatorial powers, basically, stating democracy had little place at a time of war. Harding voted for war legislation, basically, to stop the war. He voted for the Espionage Act of 1917, which made it a crime to convey information with the intent to interfere with the operation or success of the armed forces of the U.S. or to promote its enemy's success.
Oh.
That doesn't sound familiar at all, does it?
I'm going to be ill.
This was punishable by death or imprisonment of not more than 30 years, or both.
Oh my gosh.
So you can be in prison for 30 years and then we'll kill you.
And now...
And I know. And then it was also the Espionage Act made it a crime to convey false reports or false statements with intent to interfere with the operation or success of the military, to cause or attempt to cause insubordination or willfully obstruct recruiting for the military.
Wow. Okay.
May of 1918, Harding did oppose a bill. He started to get a little... He wasn't so excited about Wilson and Sid.
Right.
So he opposed a bill to extend Wilson's powers, presidential powers. Wilson did end up going to the Paris Peace Conference, and the Treaty of Versailles was signed. Versailles?
Versailles.
I'm sorry, I have to say Versailles because hi, Sarah Heck.
Hey there.
Versailles.
The ladies of Versailles.
The ladies of Versailles. Was signed in June 28th, 1919, which basically ended the Great War. The actual fighting of the Great War ended November of the year before, in 1918.
Okay.
The country was completely behind this, of course. They didn't want to be in this war either.
Sure.
However, 39 senators, including Harding, signed a round-robin letter opposing the League Covenant, League of Nations, which was also created when the Treaty of Versailles was signed, that committed basically any country who signed it, any member nation that was attacked, forcing all the other countries to get involved.
Right.
So basically, if one of those countries was attacked, then we would suddenly be pulled into a war without it getting, through the senators or through Congress. Harding made a speech opposing the League, but while this was going on, while Wilson was out speaking, he ended up getting a stroke. He was incapacitated, and the bill was defeated.
No, What?
The bill was defeated because of Wilson's stroke. So that is where I'm going to end it, because this is what I have just covered now is all of his up to until we start getting into, we're going to start becoming a president.
That's a good number of years.
Yes.
And so we're going to look into Harding's presidency
Next time
around.
So, we're starting to see a little here and there. Like, he's still a good guy. He's still clearly trying to do the right thing.
Exactly. But,
we haven't gotten there yet. But there's a little, you can see a little dot there and a little dot here.
What is it that they say about absolute power corrupts absolutely?
Exactly.
I don't want to say that that's where we're headed, but we are maybe headed that way.
So,
and
but that is my story. It's kind of short
story
for today because there's so much more information.
And the jingle jangle you hear right now, I found a bag of the creepiest little, fake dollhouse people. And got some because, why not? And because I need to have some folks. I got a lot of characters in this story that I'm getting ready to tell you. And we're just going to put them out right here on the page as needed.
Okie dokie.
We'll leave the children out of it, like all of the kids' figures. Like, no kids are harmed in this story.
Okay.
But
I'm ready.
So you have a historic story, and Janet, yours is like highbrow, full-on history stuff. I've got just lowbrow, and it has been a while since I have done just like a straight-up classic crime story, but that is what I have for you today.
Perfect.
So let me get here. And I cannot believe also there are so many celebrity mentions that are going to kind of come up in this that you are going to love it. I know already that you don't, but Janet, have you heard the story about Wilma Plaster?
No.
Okay, well, let's pick her.
Okay.
All right, so here's Wilma.
Okay.
We're going to talk about Wilma Plaster. She is born in 1923 in Ozark County, Missouri.
Oh, okay.
At age 15, she meets Leighton.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and put him down there, too. And he will become a pastor, or like a minister, and then will eventually also become her husband. Not when she's 15, but but they meet young, marry young. You know how it is.
Right.
Small town. And, like I said, born in 1923, so like 1930s-ish, she marries Leighton. And I'm going to show you a photo here.
Okay.
Here's Wilma. She looks like everybody's grandma.
Yeah, she does.
This is an older photo. She's got the big, oversized...
Yes, she does.
Super thick lens crafter 2 for $99 glasses. She marries Leighton. They move to Hollister, Missouri. They have a daughter named Linda. They are well loved in the community. They're very happy. They're a happy couple, happy family. Nothing else happens. This is the shortest episode of No, I'm kidding. 1984, Leighton is diagnosed with ALS.
Oh, okay.
Lou Gehrig's disease, and he dies 5 months later.
Oh, no. So now it's just her again.
Just gonna chop
we're just skipping back up to 1984.
Right.
Okay.
So here we are, 1984. Now it's Wilma all on her own.
Mm-hmm.
Now, her church friends are the ones that kind of like hold her up, come around, they bring the casseroles, they check in, they make sure her garbage cans are brought out and all of that. And in particular, she has a friend named Janice.
Okay.
So we're going to put Janice and Wilma right over there. She and Janice do all the typical old lady stuff. They go shopping. They go to brunch. They take trips to Branson because they're not that far from Branson.
Of course.
And they are both fans of a musical act called John Paul Cody.
Never heard of that.
Okay. You would think that would be one individual, but John Paul Cody are individual, or like they're identical twins.
Oh, okay.
That have their own theater down in Branson.
Ah, okay.
And this is the 80s, so I have probably lost count of the number of times that I saw them as a child. So, John Paul Cody would also go on, and this is my celebrity. They would go on to be in a movie that's released in 1987 called Pass the Ammo.
Okay.
Starring Bill Paxton.
Oh my God.
And Tim Curry.
What?
Here's the movie poster.
Oh my God.
It is still out there, y'all. It's called Pass the Ammo. I haven't seen it in years, so apologies already if that didn't age well. But it was made in 1987 with Bill Paxton and Tim Curry, and it's a dark comedy that is about a corrupt televangelist held hostage by a woman scorned.
Huh.
Now, keep in mind, like Wilma, she's, like the widow of a pastor.
Right.
So, they're both, so I was going to say, Wilma is kind of into the John Paul Cody.
Sure.
She and her friend Janice become active in the John Paul Cody fan club.
Oh my God.
This is kind of at the advent of the internet, too. So, like, all of a sudden, like, oh, these people are just like, you have a weird little thing that you love? I have a weird little thing that you love. Let's love this weird little thing together.
Right.
So this is like back BBS days.
Yes.
And the early, early days of the internet. Somewhere in 1989, though, Janice, she starts getting serious with a boyfriend.
Okay.
And so now all of a sudden she doesn't have as much time for Wilma.
Aw.
So Wilma's kind of all on her own, and the only friends she has are people from this fan club for this third-rate act in Branson that she's kind of obsessed with. So she starts hanging out with Shirley Jo Phillips.
Okay.
Shirley Jo is born in 1936. She was briefly married, has a son. Like, she was kind of a teen bride, has a son. His name is Buddy. And she kind of, after that, falls out of contact with most of her family. In particular, she can't get along with her mom, and she can't get along with her sister. Probably, maybe because it sounds like her mom sort of judged her for being a pregnant teen.
Oh, yeah.
And she also had kind of bad behavior. But also, Shirley Joe is not great. She's kind of a con artist. She mostly just kind of develops relationships with men, steals from them, sells the stolen property.
Oh my God.
And then just drops them. And so, even her own sister said to her son, to Shirley Joe's nephew, "Yeah, your aunt's a kleptomaniac. She's changed in a bad way. She can't come into the house without stealing something."
Oh no.
So, but Wilma is really lonely. And so Shirley Joe and Wilma become really fast friends. And Shirley Joe is kind of one of those friends where the minute you become friends with them, they want to be like with you all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Like they love bomb you a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, or friend bomb you at least. Like, oh my gosh, and we have all this stuff in common. Oh my gosh, girl, you're the best. It's the greatest. And they both have a love of these twin crooners from Branson. So I'm going to show you. Here's a picture of Shirley Joe.
Okay. Yeah,
and it's an older photo.
Right.
I mean, just typical.
Typical older lady. Mm-hmm. Yeah, kind of grayish hair.
The same perm that.
Yeah, that everybody had.
Every middle-aged woman, everybody's mom had that,
exactly.
Right? So within just a few weeks of getting together, being fans of the John Paul Cody show, they're going out to bars. They are going on weekend trips to Branson to go see things. And like I said, the John Paul Cody, I've been saving this one for you. They're like if you buy one, get one on Wayne Newton.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. Nobody drink anything while Janet describes this photo.
Oh my God. They look like they should be tiger tamers. They both have those brown chicken, brown cow type mustaches.
Like I said, they look like discount rate.
Oh my God. Oh yeah, no, they're totally like
identical twins.
Identical. They both have the fancy, shiny black shirts, and they have the gold necklaces with, I don't know what's hanging on their gold necklace. They both have black hair and fabulous mustaches.
I know. I'm like straight from the Fuller Brush Man, right?
It's like, you know what? It's like if you, what were the names of the two tiger tamers?
Siegfried and Roy.
Yeah, so what they are is they are the
hillbilly Siegfried and Roy.
Yes. Or if you were gonna order them from Temu.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, yeah, and so yes, they are in matching black velvet shirt, or like black velveteen shirts open to the waist with huge medallions.
Oh yeah.
And even bigger mustaches. And if you thought the mustaches were big, you should see the pompadours.
Her hair is amazing.
That's right. Well, who wouldn't join that fan club?
Right.
So within weeks, Shirley Joe and Wilma are going out on weekend trips. They are going out to happy hour together. You know, they're single ladies. They are going down to Branson for the weekend, which is only about 45 minutes away to go see John Paul Cody in concert.
Right.
You know, like... And this is where our story gets interesting.
Okay.
All right. October 3rd, 1989. Wilma's daughter is concerned.
Oh, no.
She's a grown daughter. I'm going to use one of these kids, though,
Okay.
just so that we know who they are.
Sure.
Wilma's daughter is concerned. She is pretty much in almost daily contact with your mom. I don't know, like, how often do you talk to your mom?
I at least text her every day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And when my mom was around, I talked to her pretty much almost every day on the phone. Is there anything more terrifying, Janet, than your mom not answering her phone?
Very much.
Right. Like, I mean, it's scary when your kid doesn't answer your phone.
Yeah, if she doesn't answer, I normally call my dad going, why she's like, well, she just sent you a text and then doesn't pay attention to her phone when it rings.
So Wilma's daughter is like, hey, I haven't been able to get a hold of my mom for a couple of days.
Oh.
She's not answering my calls. Like she's worried. So she calls more or less like immediately, and they're like, don't worry about it, for like a day or so. So that's the 3rd of October. On the 6th of October, 1989, there's a local teacher. I'm not going to give her a figure because she doesn't really even need one.
Yeah.
Jean Walker. She is driving home. She's a teacher. And, all right, you're driving home and you see a duffel bag on the side of the road. What do you do?
I don't know. I mean, I guess if I'm in a small town and it looks like there's just I don't know. It would just depend on what's going on. You know what I mean? Like, there's been many times where I've definitely pulled over my car, like, I don't know, like a couple of months ago.
Okay.
I found a piece.
Yeah?
I don't know why it was in the middle of the road. There was a garbage disposal in the middle of North Florissant. And I was like, somebody's going to wreck their car or severely mess up the bottom of their car. And I pulled over and I kind of paid attention to the traffic and I ran out, picked it up, threw it in my van because I was like, I can get rid of that.
Sure.
And drove away. I think trash can falls out in the street. You want to stop. But if there's a duffel bag, if it's in the street, probably more likely I will stop and check it out.
It is along the side of the road.
Yeah, I
and
know.
You are a better citizen than I am because I didn't see nothing. I just keep going. Well, our local teacher, Jean Walker, she is a better citizen than I am. And so she pulls over and she grabs the duffel bag and she opens it. You want to guess?
There's a body in it.
Almost.
Oh. Is it just the torso?
Eventually.
A leg?
2 legs.
Oh, 2 legs.
Well, you got there in 3. Janet's who you need to call if you need help with hiding or finding a body, apparently. So she finds legs. And this is the part that amazes me. Then some kitchen shears and a knife and a layer of bloody paper towels.
Why would you leave it with... I'm sorry. I think you probably have the same problem. When you watch or listen to too many true crime stories, you're like, one of the rules is do not dispose the actual instruments that you use to murder them with the body. Bad idea. Just always bad.
The thing that gets me is that after finding a pair of legs, kitchen shears, and bloody paper towels, she keeps looking like, what else is in this bag? No!
And it's 1989, so there's no cell phone. She just needs to, wave somebody down. I mean, they're in a small town. I don't know.
We're going to get there.
Find a phone.
So, underneath the bloody paper towels, she finds a torso. If you had torso on your bingo card, mark that off. And then a human head.
Oh. So we're missing the arms and the hands. Okay.
About this time, her neighbor happens to also be driving down the road, and it's like, oh, hey, isn't that Jean's car? And pulls over. Hey, neighbor, what's going on? Well, he also happens to be the chief of police.
Oh, good.
So that's handy. But the corpse isn't because, as you so correctly assumed,
there's no hands.
There are no arms.
Or hands.
Look, Ma, no hands.
Look, Ma, no teeth.
Well, there are teeth, though.
Because the head is there.
Because the head is there, and dental records will ID this person as whatever there is, like, left of Wilma Plaster.
Aww.
So that's Wilma. Wilma's neighbors are questioned. One of them says, yeah, we did hear a loud noise on the evening of October 3rd.
Oh, jeez.
And we saw a silver car in the driveway it wasn't her car. So, like, all right, that's what we've got. Loud noise, silver car.
Right.
All of a sudden,
Dismembered
parts
body.
of Wilma are in a ditch. She would shrug her shoulders, but she doesn't have any. The shears and the knife did come from Wilma's kitchen. They're able to ID those. And then Wilma was killed by a single shot from a .38 caliber gun to the back of her head.
Wow.
And they know that she was probably killed on or about October 3rd.
Gotcha.
So it really didn't take them very long to find
the body.
The body.
Right.
Or, well, most of it.
Most of it.
Spoiler alert, they're never going to find the arms. Okay. Meanwhile, a hotel worker, heroes of this sad, sad world, notices a car that matches the description of missing Wilma's car in the parking lot of the hotel. And so they call it in. It's Wilma's car. But it's not the silver car that was spotted. It's a different car. Like, it is actually Wilma's car. Remember, there's like an unfamiliar silver car. Where's that car?
Yeah.
Good question. October 9th, 1989. Shirley Joe drives her silver Cadillac over to her friend Nora's house.
Okay.
Hey, bestie! It's so good to see you. I'm acting this out with our other
the two people.
It's so good to see you. It's been too goddamn long.
Yeah, because she's dead.
Wilma's dead. Let's go catch up. You know what we should do? You know what would be so fun?
What?
Let's go to the car wash.
Oh, no.
I'm going to wash my car 4 times.
Oh, no.
And I'm going to vacuum it, to within an inch of its life. We'll just tend out, And then we'll get Chipotle and we'll, go back to yours. That night, Wilma's over at Nora's house. And they're watching the news. And, Nora, who is somehow not already freaked out with the whole,
cleaning the car 4 times, vacuuming it to the inch of its life.
And they're just watching the news, having takeout or whatever. And Shirley Joe is watching the news, and Wilma's murder is reported.
Oh.
And Shirley Joe is like, oh my gosh, that's awful. My fingerprints are all over her house. And she starts acting really nervous.
Weird. Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, yeah, bestie, I got a split. But I've got one little teeny tiny favor.
Uh-huh.
Now, Janet, you're a good friend.
Yes.
You're a real one.
Yeah.
You do almost anything.
Sure.
For a buddy.
Mm-hmm.
So one little tiny favor.
What's the tiny favor, Tracy?
Could I just leave a couple of these bags underneath your porch?
What's in the bags?
Just some bags. I mean, we're cool, right? I'll come back and get them in a few days. It's fine.
I don't know, but okay.
Can I leave them under your porch?
Sure. Don't do it.
Don't do it. Nora, who is either the sweetest soul or else the most clueless soul,
Yeah.
is like, okay. Now, Nora, her one functioning brain cell is just enough that after Shirley Joe leaves,
Yeah.
she's like, what are in those bags? After all.
Right.
She decides that she's going to open them.
Good.
Good job, Nora! Go with it, Nora. You go.
I'd probably do the same. I'd probably say yes and go, okay, what the heck is in those bags?
So the bags contain cleaning supplies.
Okay.
She just cleaned her car, whatever. Bank documents that belong to Wilma. Checks that belong
To Wilma.
a .38 revolver
Oh my God.
that belongs to Shirley Joe's son,
Oh.
Buddy.
Uh-huh.
Her teen pregnancy baby that's a grown adult now. Now, luckily, Buddy, he has a criminal history.
Oh, good.
But he also has a solid alibi.
Mm.
And also a canceled check written to Shirley Joe from Wilma for a little over $4,000.
Interesting.
Shirley Joe says, oh, that was for furniture that I was getting ready to sell to her. Which, I mean,
No.
Wilma doesn't need furniture.
No.
But, okay, fine. She was buying furniture from Shirley Joe for about $4,000 in 1989.
What was $4,000 worth in 1989?
I don't know. In Branson, Missouri.
Yeah, no.
Also, weird thing that just happened to happen at the same time. Wilma's bank account is pretty much all the way drained.
That's so crazy.
I know.
How did that happen?
Of all the luck. Shirley Joe, she gets out ahead of this. And she goes to the local police for questioning before she is called in.
Good.
Okay?
Sure.
She's like, hey, listen, some accounts, it seems like she might have even tried to throw her kid under the bus.
Oh my God.
But she's like, oh, I last saw Wilma. I was at the hotel bar. We were having drinks. We went for happy hour. Had a couple of sliders and some, tequila shooters and whatnot. And that's where I last saw her. I left her there. And that's where they had found Wilma's car. She also, they were like, hey, can you just, write this out for us? She gives a handwriting sample. They look at the handwriting sample, and they double-check the $4,000 check.
Did it match for some reason?
It sure did,
That
Janet.
is crazy.
You're really good at this. You should have a true crime podcast.
I've been thinking about starting one.
Well, if you get into that, let me know.
Okay.
Right.
Definitely I'll let
We'll
you
get
know.
together. We'll have lunch.
Exactly.
Shirley Joe had signed it, but it was not Wilma's handwriting.
Mm-hmm.
So this is enough that Shirley Joe Phillips is arrested on check forgery.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Now, here's where the story gets interesting.
Wait a minute, what? You already said it's where did this come? Okay.
They check Shirley Joe's car. Our good friend, Luminol! Let's give it up for Luminol!
Luminol!
Luminol reveals that there is a ton of hastily covered blood in the trunk of Shirley Joe's car.
Shocking.
October 12th, 1989, Shirley Joe is arrested, murder in the first.
Mm-hmm.
They think that it probably came to a head, not the one in the duffel bag, when Wilma confronted Shirley Joe about having forged several checks in Shirley Joe's name. And the thing is, when you look at it, these women were not, they had been friends for 5 weeks, 6
Oh my
weeks
God.
tops. Like, this woman knew how to go in and, like, immediately...
I'm your friend. I'm your friend.
Again, it's like a love bomb, right?
Yeah.
You know, this is sociopathic behavior.
Right.
Like, I'm just like, oh, hey, I got
Yeah,
you.
we're going to hang out all the time.
And she's lonely and she knows exactly how to find, or Shirley Joe knows how to find Wilma, who is lonely. She's all on her own. She'd been married since she was 15.
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden, when you're in your middle-aged years and your husband dies,
Right.
and there's nothing for you, and then, you know, you've got this other friend, and then she gets a boyfriend.
Yeah, and now you feel lonely again. Yeah.
So you're just like, yeah, woof.
Ugh.
I mean, I know. She was a sitting duck.
Yeah, absolutely.
She really was. And this is not the end of Shirley Joe's trouble.
Oh.
Okay. 3 weeks after this, Missouri police get a call from Oklahoma police.
Uh-oh.
Broken Arrow, Oklahoma.
Uh-huh.
Turns out, just a few months earlier, in the spring of '89, remember how I said that Shirley Joe didn't really get along with her mom, didn't get along with her sister? They, Broken Arrow police had found... This is really gruesome. Okay. This is grody, but...
We're here. It's true crime. It's
don't
fine.
eat lunch. They found 9 pounds of human flesh at a roadside park.
Holy cow.
4 fingers that were from a left hand. An ear.
What?
Part of an upper lip.
Okay.
And this is the part that I was like, what? Other body parts. I'm like, how are they so specific on all of the rest of that, but then so vague? So again, 4 fingers from a left hand, an ear, part of an upper lip, and, quote,
other body parts.
Other body parts. And so they were like, oh, yeah, like as soon as Shirley Joe is arrested for the first crime, her sister calls and is like, come to think of it, we haven't seen my mom in a while.
What?
And they were like, yeah, my mom's missing too. So they ID the body parts. It was Shirley Joe's mother. And the body parts had been discovered on Mother's Day.
Oh my God.
I shouldn't laugh.
That is horrible.
The body parts, including other body parts, but also 4 fingers of the left hand, the ear, and the part of the upper lip were discovered on Mother's Day.
Wow.
And they belonged to Leila Kyle, who was Shirley Joe's mom. And who nobody noticed was missing until like a few weeks later when they're like, oh, my sister's been arrested for murder. Come to think of it, haven't heard from mom in a while.
Oh, God.
My gosh.
Wow. They clearly didn't have the same kind of relationship with their mom.
Just send flowers, please.
Right.
Right. So, for the record, she is never charged with this other murder, the murder of Leila Kyle, although she is almost certainly responsible for it.
Absolutely.
But she does get a death sentence for the murder of Wilma Plaster. It is later commuted to life without parole. The last that I can find, there is an episode of Snapped. If you are like a true crime TV fan, there is an episode of Snapped about this. I don't know the season and the episode because I have not yet watched it.
Okay.
But yes, last I could tell, Shirley Joe Phillips is still alive and in the correctional center in Chillicothe, Missouri.
Wow.
And Wilma Plaster is still dead and her arms have never been found.
Oh,
and
wow.
that is the story of the John Paul Cody elderly lady, Branson, Missouri. murder of Wilma Plaster.
Wow, that was a crazy story.
It is. And now I don't have to do a murder for a while, so get ready. I'm going to get back to cryptids and heists and the stuff that Tracey likes to do. But I wanted to find something a little more contemporary because we're deep in history with yours.
There's so much history. I apologize to everyone for all the history, but
it's okay.
It's important. It's important.
I love it.
So I think this is where we take a break.
This is where we're going to take a break, and I'm going to hide Janet's arms in a secret location. And we're going to go watch Past the Ammo, and then she's going to run for president again. And we'll be back with What's Nice.
We'll be back with What's Nice. If you enjoy getting muddy with us, here are some ways to help support the podcast. If you have any suggestions, send them to bigmuddymayhem@gmail.com. Like and subscribe to the podcast on the platform where you're listening. And of course, a good review will help us reach new listeners. If you're listening on YouTube, please leave a comment in the comments section, as that will bring up our algorithm. Join us on the Facebook group where we can discuss episodes and hear your suggestions. And of course, tell your friends, your family, your neighbors, your next door neighbor, your work person,
co-workers, strangers. Hey, Jane. By the way, I bet if you're really listening, you're going to tell me about this at work. And if not, I'm going to know that you're a dirty, dirty liar.
So, yes, support us as best as you can, and let's get back to What's Nice. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
And now it's time for What's Nice.
It is time for What's Nice, and I think you go first with us this week.
I do. So, you know those places that, like our friends Ed and Jelena, and I know some other friends of ours, I think Rob and Katie have been there. There's one in Vegas, there's one in Colorado, I think there's one in Arizona, and it basically, it's like a big crazy art exhibit. It looks like burner,
okay.
Right,
like just art installation, kind of like, is it Meow Wolf?
Yes, Meow Wolf. Yeah, no, it's not Meow Wolf, but I am similar. Okay, so we all,
or like here in St. Louis, we have our very own beloved city museum.
Exactly. So in Columbus, Ohio,
they have something.
We have a place called it's called Otherworld.
Okay.
It's an Otherworld is a 32,000 square foot immersive art installation in Columbus.
Love it.
You can explore over 40 scenes filled with large scale art, mixed reality playgrounds, and secret passageways. It's an all new kind of art and storytelling experience where visitors are encouraged to freely explore and interact with the surreal world of science fiction and fantasy. There's over 40 artists. There's 47 rooms. There's 54 projectors.
That's amazing.
And there's 190 LEDs.
And this is Columbus?
Yes, this is in Columbus.
Oh my gosh. Okay, hey Megan. So Meg goes to Columbus on the regular, friend of the pod. And oh my gosh. Okay, I'm looking, and it does look as though it is just kind of one of those things where you walk in and everything is just like above you, alongside you, below you. You just can get lost in it.
Exactly. There's lots of different colors,
really cool
different structures.
Lighting.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I like that.
So yeah, this is called Otherworld, and there's another picture.
Okay. Oh my gosh, with all the rainbow. So is it in its own space?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So, like I said, it's 32,000 square feet.
Got it.
Come experience Otherworld, Ohio for yourself. Time slots can sell out in advance. They're opened every day except Tuesday. They're open 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday, Wednesday, and Sunday. And then on Thursday and Friday and Saturday, they're open 10 a.m. to 10 p.m.
And Tuesday is when they're doing the sacrifices?
I guess.
There's some weird eyes wide shut
Right.
stuff that goes on there.
Now there is another one. There's a place called Otherworld also in Philadelphia. So this is
Okay.
not just a one-time place.
Right.
They do have parties and stuff. Like here they have Open Hearts, a Valentine's Day house party. Looks like they have some different like bands that play there and just some kind of fun thing.
Just sort of a one-off.
Right.
Special
And
event.
when I was reading about this, apparently, and not shocking at all, it was created by burners. Shocking, I know. It says, "Welcome to the future of art and engagement, where the boundaries between observer and the art dissolve, inviting you into a realm of unparalleled creativity and interaction."
Nice.
So it's pretty neat. I mean, it looks like a place I definitely want to go. It definitely gives me Meow-Wolf vibes.
I like it.
So yeah, it's called Otherworld in Columbus, Ohio.
That sounds good. For
Nice.
What's Knife? What's Knife? What's Knife here? That should be like the theme of our stories. What's Knife here?
So that's my What's Nice for Columbus, Ohio.
I like it a lot. Yeah, I was gonna say, and it does look like
It
something
looks
that
totally burners put
is
together.
absolutely like what a lot of our friends would enjoy.
Yeah, you get to play with lights and immersive stuff. You know, it's great.
And Janet, usually our stories have a tendency to kind of coincide.
Yeah.
But this week, I feel like we've sort of been a little bit of a foil for
I
one
know.
another. You've had a historic story
Right.
and about somebody trying to do the right things. And I have had a more modern story about somebody that always did the wrong things.
thing. Yeah.
And your What's Nice is highbrow.
It's pretty.
My What's Nice is lowbrow.
Okay.
Well, I'm in the Ozarks.
Right.
And what I've come up with for my What's Nice is...
Mm-hmm.
The Whodunit Hoedown.
What?
It is at the Shepherd of the Hills Theater, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
in Branson, Missouri.
Yeah, it is.
And they have a murder mystery theater
Really?
that they do there. And I mean, you can go and see something that's like actual, like more serious stuff. But I'm gonna just show you some photos.
Oh my god! So there's a lot of cowboy hats involved.
Y'all, this stuff makes Hee Haw look high class.
It does.
So it's a murder mystery dinner theater at the Shepherd of the Hills Theater in Branson, Missouri. You watch the show. You observe clues. I presume that they think that y'all know how to read and write. You guess the murderer.
Okay.
Sometimes guests are brought on stage, which, ew, I hate that. All right, quick aside, Tracey speaking, out of the podcast. Don't make me freaking do work. If I'm there as part of the audience, I don't want to clap along. I don't want to sing along. I don't want to be brought up on stage. It's my goddamn night off. I am there to be entertained. You do the work. Like, I'll applaud for you, and I will not leave the theater until, like, the curtain call is finished. But otherwise, like, no. Hire a chorus if you need a chorus. And that ends Tracey's rant. Anyway, so it's a 90-minute show, which is great. Like,
Yes,
that's an
it's
hour
great.
and a half. Get home early. It is $84.99 per person, which is steep, but that also includes your dinner.
Of course.
So dinner and a show.
Yeah.
And you know me, like, as we were finishing up our notes and getting ready, I'm like, if there's anything that has to do with the restaurant, I've got to look up the menu.
Of course.
So, the menu includes potato soup,
Okay.
pulled pork, and, like, bread for, sandwiches. an herbed chicken breast, roasted vegetables, white birthday cake, and rolls and soft drinks.
Okay.
And they had me a birthday cake because, oh my God, a white cake with like white frosting. Oh, my very favorite. So I would gladly go and pay $85 to eat my fill, observe clues, and make my guess on who done it at the Hillbilly Hoedown. The Whodunit Hoedown at Shepherd of the Hills.
That is great.
And so that's short and sweet, like that birthday cake.
Right. No, I love it.
But that is my what's nice.
Awesome. Well, cool.
Right.
Well, we both had some good stories.
We have. I was going to say we've gotten a fair evening out of this,
Yes.
and hopefully we've kept you entertained along the way.
Right.
And we should probably get ready to say goodnight and sign off. But there's one more thing.
Is it Stay Midwest Nice?
It is to stay Midwest nice.